Welcome to the Grant Information webinar with Central Carolina Community Foundation. This will be a brief overview of the services that we provide to nonprofits, including our competitive grant making. If you have any questions after viewing this, please feel free to visit our website. There's a lot of information there, as well as reach out to the staff here at Central Carolina Community Foundation. Our contact information will be on the last slide of this webinar. First, a brief overview of what a community foundation is, just so we're all on the same page. A community foundation is a nonprofit. We are a collection of permanent funds that are donated through our community. We do serve a specific geographic region. The Central Carolina Community Foundation serves 11 counties in the Midlands. We do have a board of directors, just like other nonprofits, and we focus on the philanthropic leadership needs of our community. And we certainly work with our donors to help identify and attain their personal philanthropic goals. Now, our donors can give here locally, and the majority of them do. However, they are also able to give to other nonprofits throughout the state and the nation. Here is a quick slide just to show you the different community foundations in South Carolina. The yellow counties you see there are Central Carolina Community Foundation and the counties that we serve. So what does community investment do? And that's the department that I help oversee. What we do there is we do help manage agency funds, and we'll talk a little bit more about all these things later. We also certainly help make connections between nonprofits and donors and nonprofits and other nonprofits. Also, we manage scholarships, as well as we do some awards and, of course, our competitive grant making. So briefly, to talk about agency funds. An agency fund is a designated fund that is established by a nonprofit for the benefit of that nonprofit. What that provides is long-term unrestricted income for the nonprofit. The money is owned by the Central Carolina Community Foundation, therefore it does insulate that nonprofit for if there are ever suits or judgments against the nonprofit because it's not on their books. Also, one of the benefits is that the money is pooled into a larger fund with all of our other different funds, so therefore nonprofits are able to get a lower management fee for managing those funds. And we also are able to confidently handle some complex gifts such as gift annuities, stocks, trusts. We currently have approximately 40 agency funds here at Central Carolina Community Foundation. And if you want more information about that and if that's appropriate for your organization, please do reach out to us to talk more. One of the other things that we certainly do try to provide is connections. And when we really think about that, we think about the 5 different types of philanthropic capital that a foundation can offer. The first, most obvious one is financial. We certainly do provide grants and donations into our community, into our nonprofits. But we also provide social capital. We help make connections from one group to another. We try to be aware of what's going on in our communities to make sure that organizations are connected and make sure that they are able to work together when appropriate. Also, moral capital. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do. And so as a foundation, we try to step up and provide some of that moral capital when needed. And an example of that would be when the Community Foundation, the board said, the right thing to do is to provide a homeless shelter in downtown Columbia. And so our board did step out and say that's what we need to be doing. Along with financial capital, we certainly did provide moral capital in that situation. Another thing that we try to do is intellectual capital, and that is to help with providing more information into our communities. We don't do as much around research, but a lot of foundations certainly can, and we do try to pass along any information that we get to nonprofits so that they can stay abreast of anything that's new and happening in our communities. And last but not least is reputational. We try to ensure that what we provide in our communities is a reputation that they can bring, that we can bring to the table. Hopefully organizations know that when the foundation's present, that can be a good coalition or a good project to be a part of, or a good organization to fund. Another thing that we're certainly proud to do, and our community impact team oversees, is scholarships. That is overseen by Jamisha Shackerford here on staff. We manage over 40 scholarship funds. In this most recent year, we awarded over $400,000 to 177 students, both here in the Midlands and nationwide. That is one online application that is open. It opens in January and closes in early March. And students are able to complete one application, and they can apply to all the different scholarships that we do offer. It makes it a nice one-stop shop for our students and parents and schools. Here's a quick little picture of kind of where we did provide scholarships this most recent year, just to give you an idea of where some of the funding is going. And we are happy to say that the $400,000 that was awarded this year was the largest amount that the Community Foundation has given to date in scholarships to young people. The majority of these are for graduating seniors. However, there are some that are available for primary students as well as for current college students and postgraduate students. Another thing that the Community Foundation offers is awards, and one example of that is the David Robinson Catalyst Award. Mr. Robinson was one of our founding board members, and upon his passing, his family and the foundation started this award, the Catalyst Award. It does recognize organizations that have exemplified creativity, leadership, and vision to address a critical community issue. And they do this in as you can see, their persistent way through creativity, community collaboration, and they have some specific outcomes that can be identified through their work. This is an annual award. This year, the nominations for this award will open July 1 and will close July 31. These are public nominations, so we encourage you, your board members, community members to nominate organizations that they feel are doing good work in the community through collaboration, creativity, and persistence. Here's a quick snapshot of some of the competitive grants that we do offer here at the Community Foundation. We'll go into detail with some of these as we move through the webinar. The first is the Aflac Charitable Fund, and that we'll talk some more about that in a little bit. Also, some Field of Interest funds, and that really is where a donor has set up a fund, and they specifically say, I want these funds to go towards this issue, such as animal welfare, the arts, education, women's issues, whatever that is, and they then leave it up to the Community Foundation to identify organizations that are currently doing good work in that area. We have a new grant that we'll be offering called the Building a Better Tomorrows grant, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but that is a Field of Interest fund. We also help manage the Sunoco Foundation, and this really specifically funds projects and organizations in Darlington and Florence counties. Their areas of interest include arts and culture, community development, environment, education, and health and wellness. We do encourage nonprofits who are serving those areas or who are housed in those areas to please reach out to us, in particular to Courtney Bailey, who's on staff here, to share some information about what you're doing, and she'll be glad to pass on that information to Sunoco as appropriate. We also manage the Hootie and the Blowfish Foundation, and that is a foundation that is interested in what they call area of need grants, and that is $10,000 a year for 3 years would be the grants that are awarded there. The areas of interest that they currently have are child welfare and arts and music education. The process is that the Community Foundation assembles a list of organizations statewide. This is a statewide grant. Organizations statewide that are doing work in those specific areas. We then pass along that information to the Hootie and the Blowfish Foundation. They then identify a smaller number of organizations to actually complete an application, and that will open up in the spring by invitation only. So again, we encourage you to reach out to, once again, Courtney Bailey to let us know if you're an organization that you think fits those interest areas, child welfare, in particular youth and foster care, but child welfare and arts and music education, and she will be glad to hear from you if you're doing some good work in those areas. We also manage the Lynches River Conservation Fund, and the purpose of this fund is land acquisition and conservation projects in the Lynches River watershed, specifically to improve the water and quality and ecological integrity. That is specifically for Lancaster and Kershaw counties is where that is at this point. The application will be closing July 31, but that will be an annual grant for the next 3 years. We also manage the 1SC Relief Fund, which was in response to the 2015 historic flood as well as Hurricane Matthew. This is a statewide fund that helps get people back into safe, secure, and sanitary housing. It is currently not accepting applications, but will begin accepting applications when, unfortunately, we have another disaster in our state. The Knight Foundation Advised Fund is only for the City of Columbia. It helps cities attract and keep talented people and expand economic opportunity as well as creating a culture of engagement. We work with nonprofits who feel like they have a project that the Knight Foundation may be interested in, and we help them submit an application to Knight. That is open year-round, so we encourage you to reach out to me. This is Erin Johnson at the Foundation to talk through some ideas that you may have, and we can go from there. We also have affiliate funds, which are our community funds in 4 communities, which we'll talk about a little bit more, as well as some special initiatives and our big project, which is Connected Communities, which, again, we'll talk about in detail. AFLAC is the charitable organization that's here in town. Their areas of interest are health and well-being, education, and community development. They offer 2 grant cycles each year. One is January to December, and the other is July to June. So the application will open on September 4th of this year for the January to December grant cycle, and then they'll open in the spring, March 1, for the July to June cycle. Nonprofits who are currently receiving funding from AFLAC, either through sponsorships or for competitive grants, are not going to be eligible to apply again for 1 year. So they are asked to take a year off and not apply this year for 2019, but they will be able to apply again after that. The limit on these grants are $10,000, and there's more information on our website, and certainly you can reach out to Courtney Bailey again if you have questions about that. The Building Better Tomorrows grant is a new grant that we'll be offering, and that is specific to Richland and Lexington counties. That application will open January 15th, so it's not until winter of 2019, and that is to improve the health and well-being of low-wealth residents in these communities. We are still determining the exact parameters of this grant, but please do look online, and we'll have that posted by this fall. We do anticipate these grants being up to roughly $10,000, so we encourage you to check back, and we'll certainly have more information soon. The affiliate funds are 4 funds that we have. One is in the Greater Chapin Community Endowment, the Orangeburg Calhoun Community Endowment, Kershaw County Endowment, and the Sumter Community Foundation. The Greater Chapin Community Endowment really serves the Greater Chapin area, Chapin, Ballantyne, White Rock, Peak, Prosperity, and other nearby communities. They do have a competitive grant cycle that typically opens in early spring. Those grants do not typically exceed $3,000. That community endowment also provides a match through Midlands Gives. They provide matching funds for organizations who are in that community that participate in Midlands Gives. That is true for the other organizations as well. Orangeburg, Kershaw, and Sumter, they all do provide matching grants for Midlands Gives, for organizations that are participating in Midlands Gives. So we encourage you to reach out. Jamisha Shackelford is a good contact for those organizations. We encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about that, or if you are housed in those communities and want to get connected with those endowments. We already kind of talked through the Knight Foundation Donor Advised Fund. Again, that is in Columbia. There's a study on our website, and if you want more information, that does help guide some of that from the Gale Architects. We're looking for pilot projects or projects that can be ramped up through a little additional funding through Knight. I encourage you to reach out to me, Erin Johnson, if you want more information about that. But again, it is focusing on attracting and keeping talented people here in the Columbia area, expanding economic opportunity for different demographics, and also ensuring we create a culture of engagement and civic engagement. Some of the new things that we're trying here at the Community Foundation are some of our special initiatives. The first one is On the Table, and that is an exciting project that we're going to be starting this fall. And it is one day in our community, and this will be in the Columbia area, the greater Columbia area, where we will invite hundreds of hosts in the community to host a meal, whether it be a breakfast, drinks, appetizers, dinner, with their friends and friends of their friends. And get together and talk about the community, what you think is going well and what also kind of keeps you up at night. And from that, the Community Foundation will have professional evaluators who will reach out and do surveys with everyone who participated, and we will provide a summary report back to the community. That summary report will include basically who participated, as well as some of the major themes that were discussed at all the different tables around our community. From there, we are hoping to provide mini grants that are based on the common themes that kind of arise through these conversations. We are looking to have the On the Table event tentatively in the mid to late October, so hopefully you'll be receiving more information about that. We would love our nonprofits to be a host, and we'll provide plenty of information on how to be a host, and we'll give you guidance on that. So we encourage you to get engaged, and if you want to participate, please reach out, and there'll certainly be more information coming soon. We also have Donor Digest. And Donor Digest is, we are kind of starting here at the Community Foundation. We do not solicit our donors, however, we do provide opportunities for them to give. And so Donor Digest, we send out to our donors 4 times a year, and that really identifies some opportunities for them, up to 4 or 5 opportunities that they might not know about. So what we ask is our nonprofits to apply to be in the Donor Digest. They'll apply to us. We will vet those and then select, again, 4 or 5 to go into the digest, and we'll send that out to our donors. If an organization is selected to be in the digest, they are not eligible again for another year, just to make sure we give other people an opportunity. We are looking for a cross-section of nonprofits, so different communities, different target populations, different issues that you're addressing, so there's a nice variety in each of the digests. That application is currently open on our website, so we encourage you to apply if you have a project that is going to be relevant here in the next few months. That digest will go out in August. We also might have some other opportunities that we can help to provide grants for. If you have some specific needs that you think might be common among other organizations, we do invite you to reach out to us and say, hey, have you thought about giving grants around organizational development, strategic planning, staff development, any other topics that you think would be relevant to other nonprofits. So we do encourage you to reach out to us and let us know kind of what's on the horizon, what's important for you all now as nonprofits in our region. And last but not least, we'll discuss the Connected Communities Grant. This grant is grants directly from our unrestricted money here at the Central Carolina Community Foundation. Last year, we awarded a little over $330,000 to about 12 nonprofits. It's based on a study that was done here in Columbia as well as other communities around the country that really asked the question, what makes people love where they live, what makes them stay here and invest here, and what makes them feel connected. And the answers that kept bubbling to the top were 3 things. One is that it's a welcoming community, which means that I feel welcome to be here regardless of who I am, what I look like, the color of my skin, the language I speak, the persons I love, or my abilities, whatever that is, that you feel welcome to be here. Also that it has vibrant social offerings, that there's things to do for people like me, and that I feel welcome to be there. And also superb public spaces. We can't underestimate the importance of beautiful green spaces, public art, encouraging people to be out and in community together. These awards do range up to $75,000. There is a challenge match that is required. A nonprofit is required to raise an additional 30% of their grant. So, for example, if they requested $50,000 and received a grant for that, they would have to raise an additional $15,000 as part of that project, at least. Because our goal is to obviously increase philanthropy in the Midlands. An organization must be physically located in the 11-county service area of Central Carolina Community Foundation. It also should be a charitable organization. That does include public entities, towns, cities, counties, educational institutions, traditional nonprofits, and faith-based organizations. In addition, an organization must be registered for Midlands Gives. If you're not currently registered for Midlands Gives, you must register this fall to be able to participate in 2019. The funds raised through Midlands Gives can be used as part of the challenge match for the grant. Projects should enhance community connections in the 11-county service area. They certainly should also incorporate novel approaches to creating a vibrant, connected community. You should ask yourself, does this sound interesting? Would this be interesting for our community and frankly, for the Grant Review Committee? It should raise the public awareness of our region, something we could be proud of. Also, it should provide a measurable level of community involvement, such as volunteers and participants. We know that people who volunteer in their communities are more likely to stay in their community and are more likely to give in their community. We also want to see that these projects reach a measurable level of community members. So it should reach a specific threshold, if you will, of community participants. If you're an organization that serves a specific population, I do encourage you to think about how that specific population can be engaged with the broader community as well. This should be a new or expansion project, not necessarily a current project that your organization is already doing. That will not be considered for funding. It should certainly meet our criteria and also promote philanthropy across our region. We will not fund routine operating expenses from the organization outside of those that are directly related to the project. Fundraising projects and events we will not fund, debt reduction, endowments or capital campaigns, medical research, and conference travel, underwriting, or sponsorships. The examples of the kinds of projects we've funded in the past, it's a pretty big list, but I wanted to make sure you all were able to see the diverse kinds of projects that were funded. It's ranged everything from, small projects like utility box wraps in the Vista, all the way up to big renovation projects such as reclaiming a brownfield on St. Andrews Road and turning it into a usable park space with the Saluda Shoals. There's also things like exhibits for museums, like the race exhibit that was at the State Museum, exhibits that celebrate women in the arts, as well as pop-up concerts and plays and art and drive-ins that are done throughout our community that a wide variety of community members can attend. You'll see as well things about how we reimagine public and existing spaces. Waterfall Junction at the Riverbank Zoo is one of the projects that we funded, and that's been a huge success, to some more simple things like public seating on Main Street to encourage people to sit and be in community and engage with others. If you're interested in applying for Connected Communities, the letter of intent will be opening already July 1. It will be due by August 15th. It is a simple process that basically says, tell us what it is that you think you want to do in 3 sentences. How will that connect our community? And also about how much you think it's going to cost. That's not a binding amount, but we do need to see a ballpark of how much you think that will cost you. We also then from there, and I fully acknowledge that this is a little bit of a longer process, but we try to make sure that we don't ask anyone to do a heavy lift unless they're getting farther into the process. So if their letter of intent has been accepted, nonprofits will be asked to submit a full application, and that will be in the fall. And then the third round would then be a presentation in mid-January. The project would start by March 1, 2019 and run through February of 2020. So be thinking about a project that will run next year. If you have any questions about what you might be doing, if you have a project or an idea that's kind of simmering, I do encourage you to reach out to me, Erin Johnson. I would love to talk with you about it and to think through, if that project sounds good, if there's ways to strengthen it, or if there's other things to consider, or if there's other organizations that are doing some of the similar work as you. So I encourage you to now determine if your organization is interested and to start developing those partnerships now so you can submit a letter of intent next month. A little bit of additional information. Obviously, we're looking for ideas that could be sustainable, that also would have a measurable impact on our community, and it certainly should be clear. When you're thinking about your letter of intent, thinking through how to make it really clear exactly what it is you're trying to achieve. Our team is here to talk through what you are looking to do. We will also offer group calls for those who make it to the application round. There's going to be frequently asked questions, which are actually currently on our website already if you want to get an idea of that. And then this will go through our Community Impact Committee, which is a committee of our board. We are looking for organizations throughout our 11 counties, so we certainly encourage any organization and any entity that is in these communities to reach out to us and to apply, because we do want to have a nice, diverse group of applicants, both geographically and demographically. I do encourage you all to reach out to us. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're doing. It's important that we know the organizations that are serving our communities. We always want to know that. We want to be able to share you and what you're doing and the good work you're doing with others. And so, again, I encourage you to reach out to Courtney, myself, or Jamisha. We love to come out and visit organizations to see what you're doing, have coffee. You can come visit us, whatever that is. but we would like to know more about you and what you're doing and how you're serving our community. So with that, this webinar will be ending. Again, reach out to us. The last but not least, I do strongly encourage you to sign up for our nonprofit news. Go to our website, scroll to the bottom, and sign up for our newsletter there. That will allow you to know when any of our grants are opening, and it'll give you more information about what we're doing. And certainly visit our website. There's a lot of information there that can provide guidance on the work that we do. Looking forward to working with you all again in the future. Thank you.